Okay, let's just dive right in, shall we? Today, we are tackling one of the big ones, the book of Deuteronomy. Now, for a lot of people, it has this reputation for being dense, difficult, and maybe, well, a little dusty. But what if I told you it's actually the very heart of the Old Testament?
And look, let's be honest. As Dr. Cynthia Parker, a Deuteronomy scholar, puts it, just bringing up the name can be a total conversation stopper. I mean, people immediately picture this long, boring list of ancient laws that you have to blow the dust off of just to read. But what if that whole impression is completely wrong? What if, hiding in plain sight, Deuteronomy is actually a masterpiece of literature, a foundational political document, and a dramatic, high-stakes speech that changes absolutely everything?
So let's start by tackling that first impression head on. Is this thing really just an ancient, irrelevant rulebook? The popular image is just that, a collection of rules for a society that existed thousands of years ago. So it's easy to see why we might think, there's no story here, no excitement, nothing relevant for us. But that's because we're missing the context, and the context is everything. So let's get that context. This is not a rule book. This is Moses' final epic pep talk. Let me set the scene for you. Okay, so picture this. An entire nation of people is standing together on a border, right on the edge of the Jordan River. They can literally see the land they've been promised for generations. They have spent 40 long years wandering around in the wilderness. An entire generation has lived and died on this journey. I mean, the weight of all that history is just immense. And now their entire future, their whole destiny as a people, is sitting right there, just across the water. This is the ultimate on-the-cusp moment. The tension must have been absolutely incredible. So the crucial point, the thing you have to get, is this. Deuteronomy isn't some dry legal text. It's a series of passionate, powerful sermons from a dying leader to his people. It's like a coach pulling his team into the locker room at halftime, reminding them who they are, what the game plan is, before they go out and win the championship. And these sermons, they aren't just for motivation. No, they are a literal blueprint for building a whole new kind of nation, right from the ground up. And this blueprint, it's built on three massive pillars. First, it reimagines God not as some distant tyrant, but as a caring, covenant-making parent. Second, it calls the people to a very specific response, to remember God's love and to live their lives based on that memory. And third, and this might surprise you, is the land itself, which plays a role we might not expect. Yeah, this contrast really reframes our modern way of thinking. For us, land is often just, a backdrop, a resource to be used. But for them, it was a central character in their national story. Their actual survival depended on this deep, intimate connection to the soil. This wasn't just a place to live. It had what the source text calls Edenic potential, the chance to create a society so just it would be like a new Garden of Eden. Okay, so we've seen it's a pep talk and a blueprint. But hold on, because there's one more layer of absolute genius hidden inside its structure. It's actually a formal, ancient cosmic contract. So you might be asking yourself, is this book just a random jumble of sermons and laws? I mean, it can certainly feel that way when you're reading it. But the answer is a huge, definitive no. Its organization is deliberate and, frankly, brilliant. You see, archaeologists have found all these international treaties from ancient empires like the Hittites and the Assyrians, and it turns out they all follow a standard six-part legal structure. You've got a preamble, a history of the relationship, the specific rules or stipulations, the consequences, the blessings and curses, and then witnesses and a formal ratification ceremony. Keep that structure in your head for a second. And here it is. This is the big reveal. The book of Deuteronomy maps perfectly onto that ancient treaty structure. The preamble and the historical prologue, that's in the first 4 chapters. The stipulations, the core laws, that's the huge section right in the middle. Then you get the blessings and curses. The Song of Moses in chapter 32 even calls on heaven and earth as formal witnesses. It's all there. This isn't a random collection. It's a legally binding covenant presented in a format that people would have immediately recognized as official and legit. So, a pep talk, a blueprint, and a cosmic contract? Let's wrap up by looking at why this book became so profoundly important. Structurally, Deuteronomy is like the hinge of the entire Old Testament. It closes the story of Israel's origins in the first 5 books, and then it sets up the entire rest of the story. Their life in the land, their kings, their prophets, all of it is judged by the standards set right here. And its influence is just massive. It is one of the four most quoted Old Testament books in the entire New Testament. I mean, when Jesus himself was asked about the greatest commandment, what did he quote? He quoted Deuteronomy. That tells you they clearly understood its central importance. So in the end, Deuteronomy isn't a dusty, irrelevant rulebook at all. It's a passionate vision for a just and loving community, wrapped in a dramatic story and presented in a brilliant legal structure. And it leaves us with a question, doesn't it? What can an ancient blueprint for a flourishing humanity teach us about how we build our own communities today?